This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you are right now. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of INC Radio New York. I am Sister Abby Hidalgo, your host for today's episode, and with me we have Sister Mika. So, yeah, so happy Saturday to everyone. We've been having, a big heat wave in the New England and I think Northeast region and torrential rains. I know New York City was a little bit flooded and whatnot, but today is like a gorgeous cool day. So I hope everyone after today's show can enjoy the weather and take the walk out or just sit out, read a book, and kind of enjoy the nice break from the hot and the humidity. How are you, Sister Mika?
Hi, Sister Abby. I'm doing well. Actually, really bad allergies, but it's okay. Um, I was just about to sneeze right when you called me, and I was like, no. But yes, Yesterday was so nice out. It was a little cool, just the perfect temperature, I think, for me, because I like the cooler weather better. Um, so the heat waves have not been fun. So I'm very, very excited to experience, but several degrees cooler than what it has been.
I know, but it's kind of sad to know that when the weather gets cooler, those who are in school it's like almost time to go back to school, right? It's already August. The weather's kind of cooling down, summer's kind of winding down and whatnot. So it's kind of like you're in almost preparation mode for the new school year. But we're not ready to talk about that yet, but we would like to discuss about, still graduation, because this coming weekend, or tomorrow, we'll be celebrating the graduates. We'll talk about that later. But, graduating from school is an exciting milestone. It's also marks the beginning of a new chapter filled with challenges and transitions. So as we step into the next phase of our lives, one thing becomes clear: we cannot do it alone. So building a strong support system, whether it's friends, mentors, professional networks, or community resources, is essential for navigating the uncertainty that often follows graduation or any major life transitions, any big things that like starting a new job or, moving to a new city, a new country even. But, we can't do it alone. So today we'll be talking about how to build a good support system that we can help us stay grounded, keep us focused, and, be prepared for the next steps in our journey called life. So those in the YouTube live chat, please share with us who are or were your support systems after you graduated or after any major life transitions. So tell us in the chat, like, who were your biggest support systems when you had like major life changes? How about you, Sister Mika? Who are your support systems?
Um, my family, of course. I feel like that's like the kind of like the first line of our support system whenever there's any big changes, especially when I first moved here. Imagine
Mm,
growing up and having all my friends the Philippines and then moving to a new country at a young age to obviously I didn't know anyone else aside from my family. So they were my support system. And eventually, the brothers and sisters at church, whom I got close to very quickly, they became the people that I kind of held on to when it comes to experiencing a whole different country, basically. So, yes, how about you, Sister Abby? Who was your support system
My,
when you?
again, like you, my family, my parents, my brother, my extended family, like my cousins. And like, granted, I didn't really move too far, like I went to undergrad in Connecticut, and, I still had my friends from high school. So my friends from like high school were with me in college. But then I had to move to New York for my master's degree, and I was completely alone because I didn't know anyone in New York. So once I transferred or moved to the local Belmore, the Kadiwa, or the those who are 18 and above, not married, and the Binhi CWS, or Children's Worship Service, and like the some brethren who were taking care of me when I was there, the choir, since I'm a choir member, they were also my support system when I was, far from my family. So yeah, those were my support systems when I was transitioning or moved to a new thing, a new, area, So, but we have our support systems. But why do you think it's important, Sister Mika, to have relationships with during major transitions?
Well, you have to feel safe, right? Like, to when you're, especially like when you're moving to a new environment, I feel like it's very important for us to have that group of people or that person or group of people that you can safely experience this with. Because you're going to
Mhm.
have a lot of questions, right? You're going to be experiencing things that you've never experienced before. And and again, like you mentioned in the intro, right? You can't do it alone. It's very difficult to do things alone. So finding people who are maybe experiencing the same things as you are, right?
Mhm.
Maybe like if you are transitioning from high school to college or from college to um, you're looking for a new job, it's good to have people that are the same, that are experiencing the same thing as you, so you don't feel as alone. So you feel safer to kind of try out new things and know that whatever happens, you'll have a safe place to land, pretty
Yeah, it's like
much.
a safety net, like those people in your lives. And they also kind of remind you of your goals. Sometimes when you're in the middle of it with all these like different stressors, different like problems and like challenges that you're experiencing, those support systems, those people in your life, can keep you like focused. They will remind you, it's like, oh, I know it's hard now, but remember, this is your end goal. Even though it's difficult, like these are the things that you can, do in order to reach your goals. So you won't lose sight of what you set out to do. Because again, when you graduate, things are very uncertain. You're trying to apply to these internships, to these jobs, or even moving to another city. You don't know anyone. You don't know your connections to certain things are kind of gone. So it gets kind of muddy. You get kind of lost when you're by yourself. But with those support systems, people who rally behind you, they give you perspective. They remind you of why you chose to do certain things to have your end goal.
And I completely agree with that. It's great that you mentioned, that they remind us of our goals, especially, as members of the Church of Christ, right? Um, if you, let's say, move from one place to another, or let's say you transition from high school to college, or college to maybe getting your master's and whatnot, or finding a job. Having a support system, especially inside the church, is very important, because they remind you that um, no matter how busy you get in life, or no matter how far you get in life, that you still have to continue. You know, you have to make sure that you attend the worship services, you continue your devotional prayers, um, and all of that. They remind you that although, yes, this is very important, um, finishing school, working hard in school, or working hard at your job, that although that is very, very important in our lives, that to not forget the number one thing that's important in our lives, which is our membership,
Hmm.
our duties. So I think that's, very important, that when we do look for um, like a support group, or a group, right? That we first and foremost find people with the same goals as we do, which for us, as members of the church, it's to still be able to worship God all the while doing all of these things.
I totally agree with you, Sister Mika. Especially if you really don't know anyone. But what are some ways that we can build our tribe or our support system? So what are some advice that we can give to those who are making those major transitions, how to find people or how to build your support system?
It's going to be really difficult if you're an introvert like me, like us. um, but just, don't be afraid to approach people. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, don't be shy.
Attend those activities, like, join those meetings. That's where you can meet brethren. Like I can say from my personal experience, like I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Connecticut. I had to go to New York for my graduate school. And, originally I was traveling back and forth back home, but I physically couldn't do it. It was like a 2 hour, 3 hour drive. So then I had to eventually transfer. I had to move locals. And I didn't know anyone in Belmore. That's where I transferred to. But, being in the choir, having a duty, I was able to meet brethren. And, also this is also important about attending your committee prayers. You have your overseers that you can also, who take care of us, and they can give you guidance. Like, my overseer, like, saw me every Sunday or every time in worship service, like to see how I was doing, because they know I was by myself. I was far from home. So, and like with the choir leader at the time, Sister Melly, like invited me to her house, and like I met her family and an extended family. So they include, and like, the Daos family in Belmore, they included me in certain things just so I won't feel too alone. So I that's why like Belmore always has like a soft spot in my heart, because of all what they did for me when I was there by myself. So it's, even though I'm an introvert like you, Sister Mika, they, the brethren went out of their way because they knew who I was, that I was, alone. And they made me feel included. And, don't be shy. Try to like meet new people. Put yourself out there. You never know. You can have these can be your lifetime friends. Even though you move away or whatnot, you can always come back to your second family, your second home.
Yeah, don't be afraid to make these connections too. And I think that's a really great thing about being in the church, right? It's that wherever in the world that you go, you always have like a community already to be a part of. Um, like again, like another, like a safe space, right? And the brothers and sisters all over the world, they're all very hospitable, and they're so very nice. And when they know that you're alone, they're going to ask how you're doing, include you in things, and make sure that you don't feel alone. You mentioned like the overseers. Sometimes it feels great just to be asked how you're doing, or like, you're doing right. Like, if you do you need any help, and this and that, just to know that
Yeah.
someone cares about how you're doing, I feel like is already a big help. And it's great that you mentioned attending activities. So again, we're going to mention it later. Well, actually, we can mention it now. This weekend, there's going to be a CBI special gathering, Christian Brotherhood International. So it's an organization of brethren who are in school. It's very important to attend gatherings like this, because this is where you are going to find people who are experiencing the same thing as you, right? Not just academically, yeah, not just academically, but spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you may meet people at school that are experiencing the same things as you in school or maybe at work, but it's very different for us because our first priority is our faith, right? So that is a thing that we have to protect first and foremost. So to be able to find people that are of the same mind,
Mm-hmm.
um, is very important for us, and to know that we take care of each other. I think that is, of great help, emotionally, like mentally.
Yeah.
Um,
And like the CBI, the organization has our core values as members of the Church of Christ. Because we shouldn't not attend worship service. We should not don't perform our duties. And like brethren kind of remind us, it's like this is our first and foremost thing, even though we're going through like stress or problems or whatnot, is to always remember God. Always remember that God will be there for you. So put him first, first place in our life, and then everything else will follow. Even though we don't see it, he will find a way if that's meant for you. So the brethren, the organization CBI, has those values that we hold dear to our heart. So how I guess this transitions to the next question, like how does CBI offer accountability and support that benefits recent graduates, right? Like they kind of remind you of what is important. Not only school is important in graduating or going to your professional goals, but also your spiritual goals in life, right, Sister Mika?
yes, completely agree. And then just like we spoke about earlier, um, faith, our membership is our priority in life. So to be able to find like-minded people um, is will be the best for us, right? And the CBI organization is guided by the church administration in these activities. So, and who knows what's best for our faith, right? Than the church administration, who is being guided by our Almighty God. So, if you aren't sure yet, if you're watching this and you're not sure yet if you're attending the CBI special gathering, make sure that you do. Or if you aren't sure yet of attending any of those activities that they put out, then this is your sign that you should, right? If Because again, it's very important for us to have the people, like have our support system, kind of like our tribe, our community, because you don't want to feel alone. Feeling alone is not a good thing, right? It makes there's a lot of negative things that come with that, which we try to avoid and we try to get over. So yeah, hopefully everyone is able to find their community inside, with people here inside the church in the CBR organization. And I think we have some comments on our YouTube live chat that we can read.
Yeah, so from earlier, Sister Lani said, my biggest support system are the brethren in the church. I'm far from my family, but in every local congregation that I moved to, there always had been my support system. So yes, like, you always have instant family, whatever local congregation you go to. Even just visiting a local, like you can always have a contact there and they can always guide you to where to go, where to stay, so that they always are out for your general well-being. For Sister Amelia Banting, she's like, my biggest support system are my parents and siblings. When I came to New York, the brethren in LIC or Long Island City, especially Sister Kit Luna, and now my children and grandchildren. I'm blessed. So that's great that you have all those support systems that you have, throughout your life, especially when, again, big transitions, not only graduating, also moving to a new country, a new state. Brother Roger Hughes says holding an office also builds a support system. And he also say joining, in regards to activities, joining chapel guarding and cleaning and beautification also builds unity because you all have a goal, you're working towards something. And then Brother Chris Ornetto said an instant family in each local congregation. So yes, that's good to, but as members of the Church of Christ, no matter where you go, you always have an instant family.
Yes, and that's so good. That's always so good to hear. It's very reassuring, right? So yes, you're gonna feel nervous, and afraid in the beginning, but the moment that you are able to find those people, and they really will take care of you, you know, and that's definitely been like tried and tested by, a lot of our brothers and sisters when they move to a different place. Um, that the brethren will take care of you. So yeah, if you are, going moving to one place to another, don't be afraid to reach out and like uh let the officers know, that you're by yourself. And they will do everything that they can to make sure that you feel welcome and that you feel safe, and that you and your faith are taken care of.
Yeah. And I guess to wrap it up, our last question, how does being, I think we also touch upon this throughout our show, as like, how does being a part of such a faith-driven group affect someone's mental health, not mental health, someone's mental and emotional resilience? What are your thoughts on that, or final
I
thoughts?
mean, it makes you feel like you can take on anything, right? Like a lot of people nowadays, a lot of people are afraid to try things because they don't know, they don't have a safe place to fall back on, right? But
Mm.
with us here, we have that, right? We not only have the brothers and sisters, the officers, our friends, our family, most of all, we also have our Almighty God, right? If we put God first in everything that we do, we mentioned earlier that brethren in the CBI or in the church will remind us to make sure that we perform our duties, um, and that we continue to worship God, because when we do that first and foremost, that God will take care of everything else in our
Mhm.
life. So we won't have to worry about that because God got us, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's very huge. That's like a huge load taken off of our shoulders if we just make sure to, perform our duties first and really put our membership and serving our Almighty God first.
Yeah, well said, Sister Mika. I'm just reflecting back on my experiences when I was going through school and whatnot, and you, you'll be amazed about how much you've grown from the start of whatever activity or whatever degree you, from your first year all the way to when you graduate. It's like, how was I able to manage all of this? And you have your support system, your family, those in the Christian Brotherhood International, your duties, your all your mentors that you have in church, or even your professional life. And then you remember, it's like, well, God helped me. God was with me every step of the way, even though during those moments you're like, I can't do this. Like, I will be up all night studying for this big exam, this big paper, but you did it and God helped you, and all the more you should thank our Almighty God for being with you through your studies, and you're able to accomplish like whatever goals that you have in life. And that in the future, God will be with you wherever you go in life and whatever goals you also have in the future.
Yes, I completely agree. And I was going to say something else. Right. So, and there might be people thinking that they want a good future. So they think that they should focus first on their studies. And, maybe they might not want to take up an office or something
Mm,
like that, right? Or to participate in some activities because it'll take their time away from studying or working. But that's not, we should change our perspective, right? Your older like right, your older brothers and sisters in the church have done the same thing. We had multiple duties, big activities going on while being in college, like you, Sister Abby, working and getting your master's and and all of that at the same time. But you'll be amazed at how much you can handle and how much you can do and how far you can go if you put God first. So don't
yeah.
be afraid. Don't be afraid to put God first because He really will take
And
care
he
of
will
you.
find a way for you to be successful. He has always the best intentions for you. And always remember that, he has whatever God has planned for you will be far more than what you can ever imagine. So just keep praying, keep remembering God, thank Him for all He has done for you, and everything will fall into place. And then you'll look back, it's like, wow, look what God did for me. Anyways,
That's
not to get too anyway, thank you so much for your insight, Sister Mika, on our topic. We have a good conversation, and we know the importance of having a support system after graduation, and how faith-based communities like the Christian Brotherhood International can make the difference. So yeah, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to our show, and share it, and like it, so that it can be a good reminder for those going into certain transitions. As we mentioned, our CBI special gathering and graduate recognition is tomorrow at Rochester, Wyndham, and Forest Hills at 5 p.m. And don't forget about our STEM fair, August 16th at Forest Hills. And more details will be provided through your CFO officers or Christian Family Organization officers. So ask if you would like to attend this activity. We thank you again for all of you who commented on our show. We saw Kadan, Ka Chris, Kadeen, and Sister Michelle from local of Albany, Brother Rogel from also Albany. We appreciate you tuning in, and it's that time, and that's all for our show today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the church administration for giving us a platform like this to share about important topics like these. Don't forget to catch us again next Saturday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time or at 11:30 p.m. Philippine Time. And greetings to our beloved Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, and our current Deputy Executive Minister, Brother Angelo Aranyo Manalo. And greetings to our INC Radio Station Manager, Brother Wally Taray, and our Executive Producer, Kuya Manny Andaya. To our District Minister, Brother Sheridan Santos, our Assistant District Minister, Brother Neil Patrick Omelda, our CFO Advisor, Brother Jason Flores, and our District Multimedia Advisor, Brother Christopher Onedo. That brings us to the end of our show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and have a good night.